Mark McKinney, they were asking people to do De Niro impressions in this Deadline interview. Just, pimping people to do impressions is like kind of like, oh boy, how are we going to get around this and make it funny? But Mark McKinney's impression of De Niro is, hey, put down that fish. I kept making him do it all weekend. It's very funny. Awesome. I like that it's just like a plaintive, whiny, non-existent line from some weird. So hey, put down that fish. It's like no matter what actor you were, if that were your catchphrase when people did impressions of you, you'd be like, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna be a dentist. I don't want to be an actor anymore. Why did I star in that movie? We were trying to figure out what the title of the movie was, and McKinney said, "Don't talk to me with a fish in your hand." I got a big crush on him, as you can tell. I liked hanging out with him. He's very charming.
That's great.
Sounds like you had a really good time with all your friends.
If you're Bruce McCullough and you're listening, I can't remember if I met you, but I didn't dislike you. I'm not saying that.
You're just saying you have a favorite member now.
It's just like I think he might be the most compatible with me
out of all of them.
So out of everybody.
I don't know about that. They're all pretty sweet.
They're all very sweet,
and they're all really, really, really smart.
Yeah, but I like him the best.
You haven't met the other ones.
I met a guy. I think I've met them all. I can't remember if I ever met Bruce McCullough.
Foley.
I met Dave Foley. I've met Scott Thompson. I met Kevin McDonald. Didn't you yell at Kevin McDonald out of your car window, or
did I? I don't know. I know. I was going to yell at David Cross one time before we met him, like going, Mr. Show or whatever.
Wait, before you met him?
Before we just like moved to Los Angeles and we saw him walking down the street, and I said I should roll down the window and yell Mr. Show at him, and I didn't. I think I told Dan I was thinking about doing that. I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been David would not have thought that was awesome. He would have
No, he would have let you have it.
Well, we were moving in a vehicle.
Right.
Well, so I wouldn't have. If he did, he would have been saying it up my bumper.
Cross is fast, though. There's one thing we all know about Cross. He runs really fast.
That's why they call him Cross.
Before
they call him
I
cross
met
country.
David Cross, the funny thing is, I swear, it was like 4 a.m. It was ungodly. Like the sun was up, because I remember it was broad daylight, but it was like so late. It was like there was nobody on the road. I was driving back to my apartment from some God knows, like some, who knows, a naughty party at an apartment. If it's 4 a.m., maybe there was coke involved. I don't know. I was like probably stayed on someone's couch, so I wasn't too drunk to drive, and I was coming home very, very wee hours of the morning, and at the intersection right over by my house, it's just this deserted subdivision. This car is rolling up to the same stop sign, and he's kind of rolling the stop sign. He got there way earlier than me, but didn't come to a full stop, which was fine. I wasn't. It wasn't like the person was doing anything really that wrong. It was just, the car was in the middle of the intersection as I approached it, and then it was David Cross, and he looked at my car coming up to the stop sign, and he took both hands off the wheel of the car and put them both on the glass of the driver's side of his car, and did this like insane like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, like performance, like as if my car was barreling towards him and he was screaming in terror, and then he just kept going. I was like, that was David Cross.
Hilarious.
He just did a bit for me.
And
I've never met him.
Did he? Oh, he never met him.
And then I met him eventually. I think I probably brought that up. And
how did he react?
I can't remember, because I'm sorry.
You're sorry for what?
That's hilarious.
I'm sorry, I can't remember, because that's the next question. Well, then you met David Cross. Did you ever tell him that story, and what did he say? That's obviously a very frustrating thing to not be able to tell you.
It's what people want to know. It's what everybody wants to know.
Yeah, everybody wants to know that.
We want to hear the end where it goes, and then we became good friends.
Yeah, it's really irresponsible of me to not have that information.
Do you think that he was maybe a little? Do you think he was coming from the same place you were coming from?
Well, you mean lifestyle wise?
Yes.
I probably maybe more. I mean, it was just that time of the morning. Like where else would he be? He's not a milkman. So, yeah. Anyways. Who's the first famous person here? Remember, wasn't it David Duchovny? When we were in that.
David Duchovny.
Did we meet David? I've never met. I don't think I've ever met
That was
David
the
Duchovny.
answer. Yeah, you're right. It was.
Okay, it sounded like you were correcting me, like his real name's Michael Duchovny.
No, I was confirming or affirming your.
We were in a sushi restaurant and we're eating like for one of the first times with our agent Blair Belcher at UTA, and Rob put David Duchovny is behind you, and I went David Duchovny and turned around, and a David Duchovny who was quite literally right behind me, sitting back to back with me in a tiny restaurant. Like his chair was touching mine, therefore he heard his name, and I turned around to see a confused David Duchovny's nostrils in my face. And then I turned back around and focused on my thing, and our agent Blair was like, she chuckled and said, "You got to treat them like ghosts."
Oh no. The worst. The worst.
Bust them.
So we started banging some ceremonial sticks together.
Yeah, I just shrieked.
Like that? Is that how we're supposed to treat Mr. Duchovny? I'm sorry. You had to go through that.
Who gave you your ghost training?
That could work.
Did you halfway through that, you're like, I better make this Native American chanting so sloppy that it's not offensive? I'm not going to go, hoya, hoya, hoya. I better go, hoya, hoya.
I could have been doing Enya or any Leonard.
Imagine being made and then being like, shit.
I kind of became a ghost. I liked that observation. The celebrities are like ghosts. They in LA because there's millions of them everywhere, and they dress funny.
Do you think they're lonely though?
I mean, here's what I think, Rob.
Do you think they're lonely?
They're starved for very, very casual, normal conversation that normal people have when they're sharing a bus stop. Because people are just like, oh, you're the guy from The Thing, or people are like, I'm a big fan, but people aren't just all like, fucking the Steelers, right? Or whatever. Like, I feel like they hate, because all their interactions are just so rarefied and not normal, and they must have lived with normal interactions before.
Yeah.
I think you're Drew Barrymore.
I think I can answer this as an internet celebrity. It's great when people talk to you, and
I hate it.
I love the hits. I'm really into the hits. We talk a lot about the hits, branding. So people, when you see me, feel free to just come up to me randomly and speak about some of my great internet videos.
That's awesome. Oh, and if you see me, tell me about any cool new Blue Apron meals you've had.
What's the biggest you fucked up with a celebrity? I think Fred Savage probably. Fred Savage. I think I made him hate me in 2 seconds.
Okay, let's hear this.
He was
just Fred Savage.
He was at a GQ
Gentleman's Quarterly.
It was like they have GQ has a party where it's like something in their magazine, like the 100 most.
What kind of party was it? What kind of party? What was the decorations like? What were they serving? Just tell the story. It's at a party. I don't need to know what music were they playing before you fucked
Story
up
coach
with
Rob Schraub
stupid Rob
for relief. Dan.
I'm going to just complain about someone telling a story.
Why do you hate me so much? Why do you hate me? Just cold and callous.
I didn't want people to think that I went to the kinds of parties where Fred Savage is just hanging out. It was more of a function.
I want to know how good and how great this story is, because I want to hear how you fucked over Fred Savage.
Oh yeah.
I was introduced to him and he's a director. He's a TV director,
Right.
and it's and he's long since been Fred Savage director, producer, respected by his friends and colleagues, not treated like a fucking circus freak because he happened to be on a TV show. And I'm a fucking idiot from Milwaukee. So he was talking about, he said, oh, you should try the shrimp. I'm making this up. I had some small talk, like the shrimp appetizers are really good. And I said, when you're eating the shrimp appetizers, does Daniel Stern say that they're delicious in your head?
Oh, Dan.
And he looked at me like that.
I love it. I love it.
Well, of course you love it. You're not Fred Savage. He didn't like it, but I also don't want to tell the story in a way that makes him sound like he was petty or defensive.
I don't think anyone.
He looked at me like I farted and was like, woo, it stinks in here. It's like he just looked at me like, okay, well, how do you expect me to? He just.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, because you're famous and you have fans, and you've had fans who have not hit it out of the park a couple of times in person.
I'd be willing to say the majority.
And have they come up to you and said something like, "Oh, well, Annie," or whatever, and you go, ugh? Or are you, every time somebody just reminds you of something you made, you're like, oh, that's sweet, that's cool?
I honestly, the latter. I honestly cannot think. I had one encounter I can remember with a guy that I did not like. And it was a guy. It was at the when we were on tour doing the Harmontown thing. It was in Somerville, and the guy turned out to be, he was a drunk guy that had wandered in and only knew that I was famous, didn't know who I was. So it was why the conversation was insulting and knobbish and cloying and all about him that means that literally I've never really had a bad encounter with a Dan Harmon fan.
Well, that's good.
They're pretty straightforward. They don't there's no bit to do. They say Mr. Harmon or are you Dan Harmon, and then they're very flattering.
If they go streets ahead, you're like, oh
yeah, I certainly wouldn't punish anyone for really anything, because I always think this is something that you can't control, and that is going to be gone one day, and you're gonna you suck it up even if it's not that this has ever really happened, but even if it's not opportune, it's never an inopportune time to approach me, because I'm not as I hear celebrities sometimes say ever eating or with people.
Right.
I may look like I am, but I'm inside. I'm screaming out, I wonder if anyone recognizes me. And I love hearing the answer is yes.
You're damn right. It's a great byproduct,
because it makes me feel like I can delay most of the work that I'm doing in therapy by another 10 years, because I'm not a normal person. I'm not perceived that way. So why would I learn to acquire tools
it's also
for coping?
A good indicator of when it's over with.
Yeah.
Because when they stop doing that, it's over with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, wait, is that... Oh.
He means the career. He doesn't mean the fandom.